Okay, imagine this for a second. There's a really frightening threat. It involves young people,
Right.
and law enforcement acts, fast. But the person who ends up sort of caught in the middle
Uh-huh.
seems almost totally unconnected. Their involvement, it's based just on what someone else claimed.
Okay, yeah. That definitely sets up some conflict.
It really does. And that's what we're doing today on the deep dive. We're plunging into a specific incident. This one happened in Mberry, Vermont.
Mberry, Vermont. Got it.
Our mission really is to dissect what happened around the use of, well, the formal name is an extreme risk order.
Which most people probably know as a red flag law.
Exactly. A red flag law. Basically, it's a legal tool, lets authorities temporarily take firearms away from someone who's deemed an imminent danger to themselves or others.
And usually involves courts. A judge has to look at it.
Right. There's a process.
Yeah.
So this deep dive, we're going to unpack how that specific law was used in Mberry and, well, the very strong reactions it caused.
The arguments, the pushback.
Yeah. Trying to help you navigate this really complex mix of safety, individual rights, and what, some people see as government overreach, or even tyranny, as our source puts it.
That's right. And for this particular deep dive, we're leaning heavily on one audio source. It's titled, Share This. Cops will do this to you too if we don't stand up.mp3.
Okay.
And it gives a, let's say, very critical take on things, very vocal.
Uh-huh.
It references an article from the local paper, the Addison County Independent, and also some content from a YouTube channel, Gadgets and Guns.
So it's pulling from a few places, but has a definite viewpoint.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
It provides a really powerful perspective, a lens to view this incident and the bigger questions about these kinds of laws.
Okay, so let's get into the specifics from this source. At the heart of it, it talks about two kids, 14-year-olds.
Right, from Mberry Union School.
And they were reportedly planning something awful, to harm another student. Specifically, the source says, kill him.
Which is obviously incredibly serious.
Absolutely, but here's the critical layer. According to the source, one of these students claimed he could get guns from his uncle.
Ah, the uncle. And this is absolutely central to the source's whole argument.
How so?
Because it stresses repeatedly that this uncle, the guy who owned the firearms, he had nothing to do with this plan to harm another individual. That's a direct quote referenced.
So completely uninvolved in the actual plot.
According to this account, yes. His only connection was being related, and one kid claimed he could get access. The source even notes the guns were locked up in the home.
Locked up. Okay. So despite that the uncle apparently not involved, guns secured, law enforcement, the Mberry Police Department, they went ahead.
They did. They issued what the audio source calls a red flag warrant against the uncle.
So that's the extreme risk order being put into action.
Exactly. And Mberry Police Chief Tom Hanley, he's quoted in that newspaper article the source mentioned.
Okay, what did she say?
He explained why they did it. He said, we executed what's called an extreme risk order Monday night at a relative's house who had all these firearms.
Right.
They were locked up in the home, but one of these kids said he had access to them and could get them. So, Hanley continued, we took advantage of that extreme risk order statute that was passed. We needed to separate the person from their ability to do this.
Separate the person from the ability, even if the ability was just a claim and the guns were locked.
That's how the chief framed it. And with that order, the police confiscated the uncle's weapons.
Wow.
Chief Hanley's statement, really shows the tough spot law enforcement can be in. They have this duty, right, to act on threats, especially with kids involved.
Sure, you have to take threats seriously.
But then applying these laws, it can get really contentious really fast, as it did here.
Yeah, because this is exactly where that audio source just explodes with criticism.
Right.
It calls the chief's reasoning things like bridled insanity, calls his actions clearly tyrannical.
Doesn't hold back at all.
Not one bit. The source really questions how badged enforcers and the evil judge who signed the extreme risk order thought it was okay to break into an innocent guy's house, treat him like a felon, ruin his reputation, and steal his personal property.
Strong words.
Very. And it all comes down to what the source calls the mere report of a mere claim. It really hammers that point that the threshold for acting, which is supposed to be imminent danger, felt way too low in this situation, according to them.
Yeah, it was kind of, thought-provoking about how the source makes its case is it uses these hypotheticals.
Oh, okay. Like what?
It asks things like, what if the kids were talking about getting guns from someone who wasn't a relative, a neighbor?
Ah, okay.
Would they still have gone in and trampled the rights of that neighbor?
Yeah.
It pushes it further, like, has anybody at that police department stopped to think that any common thief has access to any homeowner's guns pretty much any time?
Hmm. That's comparing potential criminal access to claimed access by a relative.
Exactly. And then there's a really provocative one. What if two guys were on school property, planning a shooting, and claimed they knew how to get guns from police cruisers?
Oh, wow.
Would the cops confiscate all the guns from the police cruisers and stop carrying guns around with them?
Right. That's clearly meant to highlight a perceived absurdity or double standard.
Precisely. These hypotheticals in the audio, they really drive home that whole slippery slope argument people raise about extreme risk orders.
Yeah.
It boils down to, can just potential access, even to secured guns, be enough to justify using these laws? That's the core question the source raises.
And given these strong accusations, like tyranny, it makes sense that the source then moves towards, well, telling people to do something.
Absolutely. It becomes a direct call for public action. The audio argues that what the police did flies in the face of reason and liberty
Right.
and calls the extreme risk order itself off-the-hook tyranny disguised as a we got to keep the kids safe at all costs proposition.
That phrasing really captures the source's view of the conflict, doesn't it? Safety measures versus what they see as fundamental liberties.
Very clearly. And the source even gives advice directly to the uncle, the victimized gun owner, as they call him.
What's the advice?
Tells him, if he's listening, to call Gun Owners of America and file a lawsuit with the city. Claims it's a clear abuse of civil rights case.
So pushing for legal action.
Definitely. And then it wraps up that thought by saying, the only good thing about the red flag laws is that they're appropriately named, because red flags should be going off in everybody's mind. Everybody that cares about freedom, that is.
Wow. So framing this incident as a wake-up call.
A stark warning, yeah,
Yeah.
about what they see as the dangers of these laws.
And the audio doesn't just leave it there, does it? It actually tells listeners to take action themselves.
No, it gets very specific. It urges listeners to act against the Mberry Police Department directly, provides their website, their phone number, and specifically flags their Google review page.
Really? Google reviews.
Yep. Suggests leaving a 1-star rating to, and I quote, let them know what you think about their tyrannical actions waged against an innocent man.
That's incredibly direct, mobilizing listeners to leave negative reviews.
It is. It's a very clear call to engage directly and express dissent based on the source's interpretation of events.
So this perspective really positions the Mberry case not just as an isolated incident, but as a sort of crucial battleground for civil liberties.
That's definitely the framing.
Uh.
A critical moment requiring immediate public response from their point of view.
Okay, so let's just circle back and recap the main tension here, based on the audio source we've been digging into.
Sounds good.
We had the Mberry police using an extreme risk order, a red flag law, to take guns from an uncle.
Right. Based on a claim from his nephew, a minor involved in a threat plot.
Even though, according to the source, the uncle wasn't involved in the plot and his guns were locked up.
Key points from the source's perspective, yes.
And this source condemned that action in the strongest terms, called it tyranny, abuse of civil rights.
And it didn't stop at condemnation. It called for action, contacting groups like Gun Owners of America, even leaving 1-star Google reviews for the police department.
Yeah, very specific calls to action.
So this whole deep dive into the Mberry situation, especially through the lens of this highly critical source, it really surfaces some fundamental questions, doesn't it, for you, the listener, to think about.
Definitely. Like, when does a measure meant for public safety? And let's be clear, preventing things like school shootings or suicides is a serious goal.
A vital goal.
Right. But when does a measure aimed at that cross a line? When does it become what some people see as a major infringement on liberty?
And how do we, as a society, strike that balance? Preventing harm versus protecting rights, especially when the action isn't based on a direct involvement or proven intent.
But on perceived access or potential risk. That seems to be the crux of it here.
It really does. This incident and the way our source frames it, it kind of forces you to consider where that critical line is for you.
Yeah. It's a stark example of how interpreting the same law, the same set of facts, can lead to completely different views on justice, on freedom.
And it's a conversation that's clearly not going away anytime soon, as communities keep wrestling with how to handle safety and rights in these really difficult situations.